It's easy to see why the Spider Wash is one of the most talked about lighting releases in the DJ community. It builds upon a proven design and adds the features that mobile DJs have been asking for: a built-in battery, a clean white shell, and built-in wireless DMX. On paper, the specs look great, but there's a few major issues that you'll want to know about before buying, so let's dive right in. Hey everybody, how's it going? Daryl here. Welcome to the channel. I'll have a link in the description below where you can pick up yourself a pair of these. So I have here a pair of Spider Washes. I'm super excited, so let's go ahead and unbox this thing. All right, here we have the case, and inside the case we have our lights. If you have some of their other soft shell cases, it's roughly the same material. And for size comparison, this is the Both Lighting IR4 4-pack case compared against this dual Spider Wash effects case. So on the front, it does have a pouch. This is where you'll find the power charging cables and a couple of remotes. Then inside here, we have our 2 washes, as well as the manual. Let's remove the plastic and then take a closer look. That is what that case looks like with these 2 washes inside. This divider is removable. So these do come in black and white. I opted for white. So on the front here, you have like these 6 panels. As you can see, they are at a different angle, so they kind of point outward. It has like this V shape on this side. So all 6 of these point in different directions to give you immense wide coverage. When I saw that each panel had 4 LEDs, it kind of reminded me like just putting 6 of these together into a panel, but the LEDs on them are slightly different. And I do think that these have better color mixing. I did rebox this, so I have been using this for a while. But other thing to note on the front is that it has an IR sensor. For the IR remote we looked at earlier, that on both sides there are slits for ventilation. On the bottom here there's not much, there's just 4 screws. Then on the top we have this bracket. It does have these adjustable knobs, so this can go flat while transporting it. You can attach your favorite mounting hardware, and then you can clamp this down nice and tight so you can mount this. And this is mounted onto the body with these 2 screws. So on the back here, you have your power in, DMX in and out, a nice little safety loop, our favorite 4-button LCD panel. If you use the IR4s, the menu is very similar, except there are a few new options on this. There's some mini wireless DMX antennas here and here, and then an on and off switch. So pretty easy. So these LED diodes, each one is 12 watts and it is hex colored. So each one can do red, blue, green, amber, white, and UV. As mentioned, it does have a built-in battery that can last up to 15 hours. The battery size, by the way, is over 30,000 mAh. The latest iPhone is 5,000, so keep that in mind. And with all that battery convenience comes extra weight. So these are 13.7 pounds, but it's 11 inches long, 7.5 inches wide, and 8.7 inches tall. So one of the reasons that these are so appealing for mobile performers is because they're so easy to use. Like I showed, there's an IR remote. And with built-in wireless, you can sync these master-slave, meaning that you can control one of them and the other will just mimic it. And it's pretty effortless to do with the built-in wireless DMX. And if you do want to control this via DMX, there's a 3-channel that just leverages macros. There's a 6 and a 10 channel. So if you're familiar with any of Both Lighting's uplights, that is the same DMX profile as these. If you already have programming for an IR4, you can just use the same address, and in 6 or 10 channel mode, depending on what you have programmed, it's interchangeable. And there also is a 40 channel mode, which is very similar to Chauvet's Wash Effects Hex, meaning that there's 6 panels, so there's 6 zones of control. Do you really want to have 6 zones of control, or is 1 sufficient? And we'll get into that in just a little bit. Before we do our demo, let me flip this on and let's go over the menu. Okay, part of the reason I love these battery wireless lights is they're so easy to demo. You just flip on the switch and yeah, very easy. So just a word of warning with these, make sure that all of your Both Lighting lights are on DMX mode, because once you start like transmitting a signal from one of them in a standalone mode, all of the other ones will start to follow that and take priority over that over the DMX, no matter which mode it is in and no matter what your DMX channel is on the receivers. And even an IR4 can transmit to these lights. Let me just turn this on. I have this on standalone mode, just choosing a color. So you can see these are like transmitting, but it is kind of funky. I have this in 40 channel mode in DMX. I have this one in 6, and they are both following this, but only the top corner. So yeah, kind of interesting. So if you have a bunch of these IR4s, they could be messing up the transmission to these as well. So make sure they're all in DMX mode if you are using DMX. As soon as I change this to a standalone mode, this one just connects. So yeah, you can see that red blinking. That means it's receiving signal. And on this one, you can see it is saying that it is the master. So very easy to link these. I'll take advantage of that for my menu walkthrough. So you can change the DMX address here. I just have this on 25. So of course you can choose 3, 6, 10, or 40 channel mode. Let's put it back on 40. There's up to 63 preset colors that you can choose. You can choose a static strobe, a value between 0 and 9. And so there's a bunch of built-in macros that you can leverage. So there's these jump macros. There's 22, so basically does animations on here, like little pixel chases. You can choose the speed. 2 is really slow. There we go. That's a little bit better. And of course, you can leverage these built-in chases through DMX. So there's fade, where it's just, there's 2 different kinds of fade and they're all acting in unison. You can also change the speed on that. There's sound active mode, which I know a lot of people would like. And there's like 4 different sound active modes. Oh, that's kind of a cool mode. Look at that. Boom. And it just goes down. Change to like the color of the beat, like a little bit more stroby, a little bit more dynamic, and that just changes all of them to the beat. All right, so pretty basic, but pretty cool. And you can change the speed of sound active mode. There is an app. I'm not going to demo it today, but just know that you can use that. You can choose a static color in this mode. So you can choose like all of the 6 values of red, blue, green, white, amber, UV. Pretty self-explanatory. So there's brightness. So if you want this to last even longer, you can like dim this to like a different brightness. That is really neat to conserve battery. But if you are using DMX, you can just keep it at 4 so you have maximum potential and then dim it with your DMX. So if you are using this in master slave mode, this lets you mirror or copy the master unit. So 1 is copy, so it'll do exactly the same thing. And 2 mirrors it so that it's doing like the obverse. So if you are going to be using pixel patterns in auto mode, this could be something fun to play with. So you can change the wireless frequency signal. See how like that Wi-Fi symbol is red? You can change different colors, so white, purple, blue, yellow, green, red. It has to match your transmitter, but if you are getting wireless signal issues, you can change that color and you might get a better, less congested network. And if you are doing them on master slave, you can turn off the IR remote for the slave just so that it listens to the master and then the remote only controls the master. Okay, that's it. Let's plug it in and check it out. I just want to show a cool way to mount these with this mount from ProX, the XLS64. So if you have a flat-based stand, this can just slip right on and it has this hole on the top. It does have room in there, but it comes with this knob so you can screw this on top. So particularly useful if you don't have a lighting stand that already has a hole on the top. And even if you do, this is a bit easier. So you can just attach it like this. There we go. And also, if you have like a truss or something, you can mount it from the truss as well. So I have a couple of these flat-based gravity stands. And with this attached on, you simply slip it on, tighten it, and that's it. You don't really have to run any cables, and that's really cool. Then you do have to tighten these and then loosen it if you want to adjust the angle at all. There are some issues with tightening these. See, it just weighs so much that it's hard to keep in place. Yeah, it's a bit tricky. So I'm trying to position this upwards like this. But yeah, it just does not go with this weight, even with tightening as much as it can go. So this might not be the most elegant hack, but I have these small rig clamps and I just kind of used it to prop it into place at an angle. So for today's demo, I am going to be using SoundSwitch and the SoundSwitch shortcut. So if you're interested in learning more about my own presets that I use for lighting, I'll have a link in the description below. And honestly, having like a chase like this, only having 2 on at a time, if you look at the shadows, it creates like this displacement effect, which is kind of cool. We'll do that with a different one. So yeah, pretty neat. But yeah, I mean, looking at that directly head on, I mean, That is painful to look at. I mean, that is just so darn bright. I'm doing like that chase for an eye candy effect. I can barely look at it. That thing is just way too bright. Granted, hopefully your guests are not this close to your lights, but that's just something to think about. So for like a bigger stage, like maybe an auditorium, that would make more sense, but I don't know, just something to think about. I just don't think that these replace tubes or other styles of eye candy effect. Because yeah, looking at that head on doesn't look that great. But on the side, that does look a little bit better because it's not shining on me directly. Right, another look at this displacement effect. So I think that looks kind of cool. Almost like you're in a 2D animation movie. There's me. So yeah, this displacement effect is pretty cool. And if you do want this to be an eye candy effect, you can do that. You can bring this down. Yeah, even looking at that head on, that's still super bright. Maybe that's a little too dim, but there you go. I've also noticed that sometimes it lags a little bit when it's trying to do some of these pixel chases. One of the pixels, one of these 6 zones will just kind of like lag. It's not a deal breaker by any means, but it is something to note. And it's inconsistent, so it just seems like that there's some wiring or something in there that is causing that. If you implement a pulse chase like this, see how it goes through the lights, not like all at once. So that is something cool you can do. So you can do that with intensity as well as color. Then it makes like the wash a little bit more complex. It's not just like a solid green or red, but there's like good gradients all along the wall. So you can do some really cool stuff with that. Please enjoy this gig footage where I use these on 6-channel mode.
Let's stop. Left foot, let's stop. Charlie Brown. Hop it out now. And a little bit of chicken fry. Cold beer on the things in life that mean the most. Not where you live, what you drive, or the price tag on your clothes. There's no doubt.
Oh geez, that is way too bright. Let me dim that. Oh, look at that, it just fell over. All right, what are my thoughts on this spider wash from both lighting? To be honest, I think this lighting fixture makes a lot of DJs' dreams come true. It's super effective, it's really bright. I'd say just as bright as the Chauvet Wash Effects series, if not brighter. It's super convenient to use with the built-in wireless DMX and built-in battery. You saw for the demo how easy it was to connect to each other. And it comes in black or white depending on your setup goals. Honestly, just a pair of these could be all the lighting you use at a show and it would be great, but it also works great as part of a larger installation with more lighting fixtures. But this amazing light does come with some quirks. But one of the original quirks of Chauvet's Wash Effects Hex is that it was just too darn bright. That's why a lot of people kind of shine it up towards the ceiling. Since it's slanted, some of that light will project directly to the dance floor, but it's so bright it'll bounce off the ceiling and it just illuminates an entire room, even like a big room, in a nice colorful glow. And so I think it's kind of ironic that it has 6 zones of control, because really this light is just good at outputting a ton of light, but it doesn't make for great eye candy because eye candy has to be pleasant to look at, and this is just really too bright for that. The light's not really diffused enough. But I just don't know really like how effective it is as being like an eye candy compared to like the pixel tubes. And I think that if you have too much eye candy, so if you're having pixel tubes do chases and you have these do chases, it might be too much. But that just might be my unpopular opinion. These also weigh so much that the handle is basically useless at propping it up. You'll need to do some sort of hacky workflow or modification to make these display at an angle properly. All right, so that's basically it. And if you're interested in picking up this light, I have a link in the description below. What are your thoughts on the spider wash? Do you like this light? Is there any improvements you'd like to see on it? And again, I'll have a link in the description below. Well, that's all I have for you today. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.